digital transformation in Latin America. So much to do about this. I would like to invite our moderator, Elsa Esteves, Associate Research of the State and Government Program for CPEC. Elsa, here in the stage. Big applause for her. Elsa de CPEC va a ser nuestra moderadora y va a presentar ahora a quienes la van a acompañar en este panel. Y luego viene el almuerzo, ¿eh? Así que gracias por su atención y por compartir esta mañana.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Welcome to this interesting panel about digital transformation in Latin America. And we have very important speakers, very top leaders in digital technologies. So I would like to welcome Aruna Jayanti. She is the Chief Executive Officer for Latin America Capgemini. Welcome, Aruna.
Thank you.
Fabiano Funari. He is the Country Head Brazil of HCL Tech. Welcome. Okay. Mónica Retamal. She is the founder and executive director of Codea. And José Fernández, he is president of Honeywell Latin America. Thank you, José. Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
So I would like to do a brief overview of the topic of this panel. We know that the tech sector grows in Latin America, and as well, Latin America becomes a leading supplier of tech talent. And this accelerates the opportunities of having and promoting social and economic development. However, we would like to explore the challenges of having access to broadband, to having equitable access for the whole population, which still this remains a major challenge in Latin America. We would also like to explore in this panel how are businesses addressing the challenges of scalability when it comes to implementing new technologies in their operations. And also, it's very important to see how governments and also the private sector are dealing with the challenge of reskilling or improving the skills of the workforce. So, welcome to the panel. And we structure the panel in two parts. In one, we would like to explore the what we call tangible infrastructure, and this means all access to internet connectivity and how people are able and businesses are able to benefit from the access to internet. So we understand that one of the prerequisites to achieve the benefits of digital transformation is precisely that, is having access to technology. So, Fabiano, I would like to explore what is your view on the status of connectivity in Latin America, in the region, and what are the strengths as well as the weaknesses that this situation presents, particularly for digital transformation efforts in the region.
Well, thank you for inviting. Thank you to be here. Really, the infrastructure for connectivity is the main challenge that you have to expand the digital transformation across the countries in Latin America. Because this is the main, how can I say, this is the base to have this digital transformation, especially in education. Because this is very important to have this, to create more professionals, to train more people, and otherwise the people use this transformation, the digital transformation, the offers that the technology can provide for them. Despite that we are investing in the Latin America, the countries in Latin America have invested, we expect to reach about 50–55% of the population with the internet access in the next 2 years. It's one step, but it's far from other countries like India, for example, that expecting the same period to reach 80–90% of the population with the internet access. It's guaranteed that they have more probability to share the technology and the digital transformation for all the industries, okay? Some initiatives can improve that with some technologies, especially to support education, to use some technologies that can help on that, because the investments for this, it's too hard, especially in countries like Latin America that you face other infrastructure demands. It is maybe create some problems to do this, and because that you have some parallel technologies that can help to improve these results, okay? The gap can be reduced, but you need to work more in some points. How can do this fast, and how can we start the main results of that? How can monetize this? How can create more value with this implementation? Our company have been doing a lot of labs across the world to try to create some technologies that can improve this lack of technologies, the lack of infrastructure that you have in these regions. But the government need to invest on that together the private companies to reach the regions in the countries that you don't have the support. I believe that this is the point. The other side, you don't have this access, but you have a lot of talent. The Latin American people, it's very creative. It's very prepared to receive more education, more training, and they create good professionals, very high-level talents in professionals, in technology especially.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, thinking in terms of the challenges for deploying connectivity and infrastructure in our continent, our countries are characterized for a vast extension,
Exactly.
and also the territory is not flat, yes? So it brings big challenges in order to ensure connectivity, particularly in remote areas where we do not have so much populations, right? And in addition,
in case of Brazil, especially this, no, it's a continental country.
Exactly. And in addition to being able to deploy infrastructure, the second barrier perhaps to access is the type of devices that people use, because sometimes we can afford having access to mobile technologies, but perhaps for children at school, in order to incorporate knowledge and to develop certain skills and abilities, the mobile phone is not enough, right?
Yes, it's a good point, because if you compare the costs of the internet access in our region, it's almost the double that the other countries, if you compare with the profit of the families. In case of the equipment, it is very high for this population. It is another challenge that you have to work on that. There is some movement in my country, I can say, in the government, that they are trying to do something, but they face a lot of problems to implement this.
Thank you, Fabiano. So after exploring this intangible infrastructure, there are some other aspects that is what we call tangible infrastructure or intangible infrastructure, in the sense that there are other dimensions in order to facilitate digital transformation. Like, for instance, we would like to explore the readiness of the private sector in terms of the workforce, in terms of the organizational capacity that they do have in order to embrace this type of effort. So I would like to ask you, Aruna, given your experience in supporting the digital transformation efforts, perhaps in Bradesco, in Brazil, but also with so many clients all over the world, what are the organizational and social benefits of digital transformation, particularly in the financial services?
Sure. So I think broadly, when any organization looks at digital transformation, I would say there are three broad benefits, and then we can go to examples. So the first is really around the customer side of it. You know, how can they better connect to customers? How can they improve their customer service? How can they make more personalized offers and so on? The second is the cost of operations. how can they drive operational efficiency within the organization? Okay, how can they make their products cheaper? How can they improve their supply chain process? So that's the second area around the entirely driven, which is around the operation side. And the third is around how can they improve their engagement with their employees. Okay, that's the softer side of it. How do they manage their people, and how does it benefit them? So broadly, any organization looking to do digital transformation focuses on one or more of the others. Okay, if you asked about Bradesco, so if I take Bradesco as an example, they are, I think, I would easily say the most innovative bank in Brazil. Okay, they are really, really way ahead of their competition. And some of the things that they do are just phenomenal. For example, today they have, and these are published figures, I'm not giving anything confidential, okay? So they have declared in their annual report that 98% of their Bradesco's transactions go through digital channels, which is immense, really, okay? And it is bringing their cost to serve down, okay? I know that they are able to reach very remote areas. They're able to serve a much larger population. So there is a big social benefit, which is not so well stated, in terms of their ability to drive financial inclusion. Okay, so digital inclusion, financial inclusion, that's a big benefit of that. And he talked about connectivity in India. I originally come from India. I have seen it there too. The digital transformation in the financial services sector has driven extreme adoption. It has just made even like microcredit, which is important in developing countries. It has made microcredit available to very remote and small needy farmers, for example, in the remote parts of the country, which I think is very relevant for Latin America. So again, the Bradesco example, as I said, 98% of their transactions go through digital channels. I think last year they had a 55% increase in their credit offers, again through digital channels. And what is interesting for me is almost all of them went through the credit contract went through without any human intervention. Okay, which means it's all, the contracting is also done through digital channels, which is extremely interesting. So I think the big benefits in the financial services sector, I would say, is the cost to serve, the expansion, the ability to scale to a vast number of people. It's the social impact related to financial inclusion, reaching small, needy people. I think those are the big ones.
Thank you, Aruna. So talking about how financial services can help with digital and financial inclusion, I would like to go back, Fabiano, to the experience of HCL, who has supported the digital transformation efforts in the Bank of Brazil. So what lessons did you learn from this experience, in particular, how it helps to increase digital literacy in the population and to bridge the digital gap?
Yes, digital transformation, it's much more than technology. It is a transformation in the process, in the organization. It's transform one traditional organization in one agile organization. Technology is part of that, okay? And Banco do Brasil, you have it is public, it is a public bank. We closed a deal about $130 million deal to transform all the omni-channel, all the contact that they have with the clients, all the way of the clients work with the banks, okay? There is a lot of adoption in technology, in digital technology in the clients in Brazil, because the banks are very huge. If you see the four biggest Brazilian banks, they are between the 20 biggest world banks, but only with the local business. They are really huge. And in case of Banco do Brasil, you create a strategy to do a very complex project that you connect the traditional ways to connect with the client and the digital ways to connect with the client. to move step by step these clients for the total digital relationship with the bank. Okay, this is a project that is, as I told you, digital transformation is a transformation of the organization. And you need to have the C-level decision to do this. This is a top-down decision, and they need to do this across the organization. They need to cross the entire organization. And you create a strategy with them, with a lot of workshops with the professionals, with the team that they have internally. This is really a challenge because you work in a business that they have very good results for a long time. It's hard to say you need to change. It's hard to change the mindset of the organization. And when you have this result, when you reach this success on this, you really have a good project for digital transformation. And this is really happy on that. This project is a one-way project that is going well because it's not finished. It is all the time you have this project running. This is very interesting project.
Thank you, Fabiano. In general, we say that digital transformation is facilitated by a legal framework, yes? By a legal framework enabling this type of changes in industry and in the society. Last year in CPEC, we developed a program on digital public transformation where a group of researchers studied the status of digital transformation in the government in Argentina and issued a report, some with policies advice in order to promote digital transformation in the public sector in order to boost economic development for private sector, but also for the society at large. And we touched already in the financial sector. Jose, I would like to ask you, because Honeywell has a lot of experience as a big company in helping automation in many other industries as well. So what are, in this type of industries, the biggest challenges, as well as the low-hanging fruits that we may call them, to augment productivity, to promote indirect benefits that could be delivered by digital transformation or by the digital solutions offered by Honeywell?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. I believe that one of the key challenges that the majority of our customers throughout Latin America suffer is growth. Like Rodrigo mentioned in his first slide this morning, the lack of growth has been a major challenge for the majority of the companies. And I believe that given the current supply chain situation and the competitiveness that the companies are demanded to or obliged to compete into, productivity is becoming a critical path in that solution to address that specific challenge. So we at Honeywell, we are focusing in three major megatrends. One is the future of aviation. We have solutions from tail to nose, all the sustainability solutions where we help customers to decarbonize. But the third one specifically is this digital transformation venue where we support customers to maximize productivity and become more competitive in the long run against the global supply chains. What is changing now is the artificial intelligence, AI. AI is becoming a big player in this world. And we don't believe that AI is gonna really replace a lot of jobs. It may replace a few jobs here and there, but the primarily objective of these new technologies is to really help increasing productivity and safety for the operations. Just to make a very easy comparison, if you remember 30 years ago, we used to rent a car in a given city. And the rent-a-car company, they used to give us paper maps. So we had to spend time, like 30 minutes or sometimes 1 hour, calculating the route from point A to point B. So we need to sit down to see where you were. So I'm going to take this avenue. I'm going to turn left in 5 blocks from now. And then when I turn left, I'm going to turn right in 2 blocks from them, and so on and so forth. And then you start driving. So, but we spent like 30 minutes to an hour doing that. And you start driving. And when you are driving, you were like paying more attention to your notes rather than paying attention to the road. So by that time, or after a little bit of that time, so a little screen showed up in front of us. There was not more than a digital way of that paper map, right? So that little gadget helped us to go from point A to point B on a more easily way, and also helping us when you need to turn left or right. So that saved a lot of time for us drivers to really move or to execute that specific task. That really helped our productivity. So the same is happening now with companies. So by using artificial intelligence, we are going to secure companies to be more productive. Therefore, they are going to be more competitive to those global chains. And there are 3 major areas that we foresee that are of paramount importance when tackle that specific subject in companies. The first one is how you help the companies to be really sustainable in the near future, because this is not going to be a mandate. It's going to be a question of having a sustainable and viable business in the future. So with that, so we not only need to really tackle your emissions, but also you need to measure them, track and measure them, and take actions to make your business sustainable. So we are helping customers to track and measuring those metrics in the same way that it happened with us like 30 years ago when we moved from papers sheets to digital spreadsheets. Right? I remember when I started working 36 years ago. You know, I'm a finance by background. I was doing everything with a pencil and a piece of paper. And when you make a wrong calculation, you need to erase everything, start everything all over. Then it came what we call today Excel, but by that time was Symphony. And then you digitalize all that process. Save me a lot of time. And this is what we are doing with customers that are pursuing these environment and sustainability metrics. The second pillar is going to be around competitiveness and operational efficiency to increase output and yields for the plants by having the maximum output of the assets that you use for that given plant by using digital transformation, digital twins, machine learning, and also artificial intelligence. And the third one, to not extend myself too much here, is going to be the safe of those operations, people's safety, and the safe of those assets that we are operating. So by having process automated in the plants and artificial intelligence plugging and playing together in those processes, then we are going to assure that we are increasing safety for our employees in each one of our customers, as well as we are increasing the efficiency of those assets by reducing downtime. So in a nutshell, this is the way that Honeywell sees how automation is going to play a big role in the future for increasing productivity, therefore being more competitive and regain share again and growing the companies in Latin America.
Thank you, Jose. And I think you lay the foundation because in order to ensure this productivity, efficiency gains, competitiveness, we need people. We need people to automate. We need people to benefit from the products and services. And I think Monica would like to explore a little bit in terms of the challenges to reduce the digital gap in Latin America, and also what are the successful efforts that we have in the region in order for overcoming the gap, particularly in vulnerable groups. For you.
Voy a cambiar a español. Escuchando a mis compañeros, creo que efectivamente los desafíos de transformación digital en las empresas son inmensos, son complejos. En Latinoamérica no hay demasiadas empresas que se hayan transformado digitalmente, no hay demasiados casos de éxito, porque obviamente este es un cambio cultural. Uno puede decir que una empresa se tiene que cambiar a agilidad, pero es muy complejo cambiar una empresa a agilidad, sobre todo porque se necesita un tremendo leadership. Y yo ahí me pregunto, y tal vez también es una reflexión, sabemos que de alguna manera las empresas grandes tienen también los recursos para atraer talento. Sin talento es imposible transformar una empresa. ¿Y qué pasa con las empresas pequeñas? Y lo que nosotros observamos en la fundación que dirijo es que finalmente la brecha entre las empresas grandes y las empresas pequeñas es cada vez mayor. Y es básicamente por falta de talento. Uno lo que visualiza es que las empresas pequeñas tienen muy poca capacidad de atraer talento, y además los líderes o los dueños de esas empresas tampoco tienen un mindset digital, ¿no? Y luego lo que ven las empresas grandes, cada vez más grandes, las empresas tecnológicas son cada vez más grandes, es una concentración de talento, y entonces ahí la brecha digital es una brecha de talento, de skills. Y hoy el mundo está muy desafiado de cómo democratizar este conocimiento científico, tecnológico, para no crear monopolios que son más grandes que los países hoy, ¿no? Entonces creo que la transformación digital, que hoy obviamente es algo que todo el mundo empresarial lo habla. Yo tuve empresas de tecnología toda mi vida, así que vendía transformación digital. El gran desafío es cómo lo democratizamos y llegamos a una mayor cantidad de personas, porque si no la concentración y los gaps solo crecen.
Gracias, Mónica. Thank you very much. Again, you touch another point that is about the lack of qualified workforce and the gap that this produces between big companies and small, medium enterprises. And I think I would like to ask Aruna, because there is a major challenge in terms of labor transitions, in terms of how we do, what kind of efforts we can overtake in order to reskilling of our laborers, or of our employees, I'm sorry. And if you have some lessons learned, and I understand that Capgemini had implemented a kind of academy that you would like to share with us.
Yeah, maybe there are two examples I'd like to share. I think Monica is very right. I think if we are not careful, there could be a big divide in terms of the haves and the have-nots, you know, the big ones, and attract all the talent. And how do you drive an equitable transformation across the country then if you don't get it? So we tried something. So typically in technology, you assume that the guy or girl that you're recruiting needs to have a degree in, to start with, okay? Of course, it's great if they have a computer science degree or a mathematics degree, but I think sometimes you say any degree is okay because, you know, they need to be educated. But I think we are starting to question, is that really necessary? What you need the most is a strong analytical capability, and it doesn't mean that you should have gone to college to get it, right? So we took, just as one example last year, 2 years ago, we took, I think, nearly 500 people of different backgrounds and said, how do we train them, right? And in fact, I think 3 or 4 of them were Uber drivers who had no education beyond their high school. Okay? And then we put them through, I think it was a 3-month training program, and then looked at performance, and then figured out who can suit this. And it's amazing. Actually, the Uber drivers, I mean, not to say anything negative, but the ones with the high school degree, they were the most committed, the most willing to learn, and the ones that performed amongst the best. Okay? So I just think that we are only looking at what we always traditionally did as to one type of people to recruit for digital work, whereas I think there's a whole wide population that really can be explored, but you have to invest in the training. I mean, that's for sure. Okay? So if they're not ready, they may not be ready, but I think there's a lot that can be done there. I'll give you another example, okay, of what we did, which is not here in Latin America. This example that I said about 500 people was in Brazil. Okay? Another example that I did in India a few years ago was that, and this was during the pandemic, where we said, you know, it allowed us, it just opened the ability to recruit from anywhere. Okay? You're not restricted to, and you know, we all suddenly realized that there's a different model of working. What we did is, there are many women who are smart, who are educated, but who cannot leave their home for a full day, or cannot devote that time to go to work and you know, to do something. And it's really a wasted talent pool. So we went to the small villages. Okay? And again, we took about 300 people as an example to say, let us offer them 1-month training. We sent laptops to their homes, and then we trained them. And today, they are one of the best work teams that we've got. And we trained them on infrastructure and cybersecurity. Very smart, okay? They are spotting the trends, they are spotting the fraud detection techniques. I think it's cool. And they work 4 hours a day when their children are away at school, but it doesn't matter, because you have in 2 shifts, you have somebody working 4 hours, another 4 hours, and then you have a population. So I really think, as a continent, as a country, we have to look at the non-traditional routes to getting people, skilling them.
Thank you, Aruna. And I think Monica is an expert on that topic, right? We were talking in the break, and she was explaining how they are promoting children and people from vulnerable groups in future thinking. You would like to add something, please?
Bueno, complementando lo que decía Aruna, efectivamente nosotros partimos hace 9 años haciendo reentrenamiento de fuerza laboral en Chile. Hicimos muchos pilotajes en mujeres y luego expandimos esta iniciativa, y hoy día yo lidero una iniciativa que se llama Talento Digital para Chile, que ha reentrenado 23.000 personas en Chile. Y es interesante el caso porque, al menos en Chile, hubo una gran promesa de que la educación superior masiva iba a cambiarle la realidad a mucha gente. Y mucha gente de clase media en Chile se endeudó y no encontró ese trabajo de los sueños que tenían. Y entonces hay mucha gente muy desconforme con lo que está pasando. Y lo que nosotros hicimos fue hacer llamados abiertos a personas que quisieran cambiar su trayectoria laboral, algo muy raro en Latinoamérica, porque en Latinoamérica todavía creemos que vamos a estudiar leyes y vamos a morir abogados, y eso cambió en el mundo, ¿no? Y por lo tanto lo que hicimos fue entrenarlos en procesos acelerados de aprendizajes de 6 meses más o menos, en promedio, algo así como 600 horas, y efectivamente logramos un caso de éxito de un 78% de incorporación al mercado laboral digital, que obviamente es el mercado más creciente en demanda laboral. Hoy día, a través en conjunto con el Estado de Chile, estamos ampliando a 50.000 personas esa reconversión, y nos dimos cuenta que esto es un mecanismo que podríamos realmente ocupar en toda Latinoamérica. Lo que se necesita efectivamente es capacidad lógica matemática, que no es demasiado extensiva en la población latinoamericana, pero hay muchas personas que les interesa participar un poco de este jolgorio de la industria digital y de tener acceso a esos beneficios. Pero dicho eso, esa es una parte del problema. La otra parte justamente tiene que ver con qué pasa con las actuales generaciones que hoy día están en el colegio, y de la cual no nos estamos haciendo cargo de estos nuevos skills. En el mundo, alrededor de 50 países están tratando de instalar las ciencias de la computación en el sistema escolar, algo que nosotros también estamos haciendo en Chile. Y tiene mucho que ver con que si se fijan hoy día las generaciones actuales en el colegio, la desmotivación en el mundo ha caído de manera muy dramática. Los niños no quieren ir al colegio. Y una de las razones es que no les hace mucho sentido lo que aprenden ahí, ¿no? Uno pareciera que va al colegio a aprender del pasado y no a pensar en cómo proyectar en el futuro. Y por lo tanto hay hoy día una tensión en el sistema escolar que se vive en todo el planeta. Por primera vez ayer leí una encuesta, los jóvenes en distintas partes del mundo por primera vez creen que el futuro va a ser peor. Eso no había ocurrido nunca. Entonces hay ahí también una responsabilidad de cómo adecuamos el sistema educativo a la nueva realidad, ¿no? Obviamente los skills que hoy requieren todas estas empresas son completamente distintos a los skills que se requerían en el siglo XX y por lo tanto ahí hay una responsabilidad de toda la sociedad de cómo adecuamos los sistemas educativos, los sistemas de reentrenamiento, cómo las empresas se hacen cargo de reentrenar a su fuerza laboral. Eso aquí no existe, por lo menos en la realidad en Chile es que las empresas creen que el problema del entrenamiento no es de ellos. Y cuando uno ve lo que está pasando en países como Asia, efectivamente las empresas tienen casi universidades al lado, ¿no? Que están constantemente reentrenando a su fuerza laboral porque la obsolescencia es brutal. Entonces creo que hay muchas cosas que tenemos que hacer y creo también que Latinoamérica tiene una oportunidad única en este minuto. Somos el continente todavía joven, todavía tenemos fuerza laboral que entregarle al mundo. Efectivamente tenemos desafíos en conectividad, pero son desafíos que se pueden solucionar y creo que ahí lograr que estas nuevas generaciones puedan generar una oferta de valor al mundo es clave.
Thank you, Mónica. Yes, Fabián.
Let me add some points here. I agree completely with both the exposition about the trainee people, but this shows for us that you need to work in 2 points. The labor laws transformation, because the example that our colleague explained, it's not possible, depends of the country. And in Latin America, you have a lot of labor laws, very old labor laws. I know very deep about Brazil, I don't know, but I know superficially about the other countries. And the same situation in the modernizing in the education, it is very important to hit these points. In Brazil, I don't have these numbers across the Latin America, but we expect to have the lack of people about 500 to 800,000 people in the next years in the IT. It is not only digital transformation, but it's social transformation. Because if you put 800,000 people, I talk about Brazil in this case, in the IT market, they become to class B. It means that you put about 4 million of people. It's a family profit for class B. It's you put about 4 to 5 million of people in the class B. It is a transformation. In Brazil, have 12 million people in class B. It means a transformation of the society, social transformation. It's not only the digital transformation. Just to add, sorry.
Thank you, Fabiano. So we cover one very important topic for digital transformation, that is workforce and the qualified personnel that we may have in our industries. But there is a second big asset that we would like to explore in the remaining minutes, that is data. Data, how much, the quality of the data that we have in order to make decisions, in order to take value out of the data. In CPEC last year, we have a program also about data governance in the public sector, and we realized that there are many important major information systems in the government, but they are not, there is a lack of culture in terms of what agencies or public institutions can do or what they cannot do regarding the access to such data and how they can integrate data in order to inform more public policies and how they can improve the interactions with citizens and businesses using such data. So I would like to ask one question to each of you in terms of data, and I would like to start with Fabiano. According to HCL experience, how advanced is the industry in Latin America in using data for producing value, and do they implement good data governance practices, and how they do it?
I think that all the countries in the world have these problems with governance of data. It's a challenge for everyone. Okay, there is several of countries, including Latin America, that work hard in the policies for GDPR, and you have this situation under control. Okay, financial services, especially in financial services, you have this more mature. In case of us, you have a lot of alternatives to extract value of these data, because this is the big point. How you make extract value of that, how you monetize this information, how you use this to provide better services for the population, for the people. This is very important. And these technologies that you are implementing, like 5G and things like that, it's really will be used if you have this data, support this data to provide the better service for the population, and you can monetize this from the side of the entrepreneurs to monetize this.
Thank you, Fabiano. Monica, so what challenges do you see in order for advocacy of trickle down the benefits of digital transformation efforts?
Well, I think that the main problem are la gente del mundo público. La brecha digital que hay ahí es inmensa. Al menos en países como Chile llevamos, no sé, 7, 8 agendas digitales donde se ponen estos temas como clave, y cada 4 años partimos de nuevo, ¿no? Cada cambio político significa alguien viene iluminado y se le ocurre un proyecto fundacional y volvemos hay un juego en Chile que volvemos a la partida, ¿no? Y todos sabemos que para un proyecto de datos, por ejemplo, necesitas construir, ordenar los datos, tener un data warehouse organizado, gente experta, y lamentablemente esa no es la realidad, por lo menos de los gobiernos. Me hago cargo del mío, que uno no ve ninguna continuidad, y uno sabe que finalmente todo lo que tiene que ver con el mundo digital es como un músculo, ¿no? Que tú tienes que ir desarrollando y vas construyendo sobre eso, no puedes partir de cero todo el tiempo. Entonces creo que la brecha digital en el Estado, en los gobiernos, es tremenda. Y uno lo ve incluso en las agendas políticas, ¿no? Cuánto priorizan este tema de las brechas digitales. Casi prácticamente no existe, por lo menos en los discursos. Y eso después uno lo ve también en dónde se invierten los recursos y el gasto público, ¿no? Y yo lo único que sí veo, y es una realidad, es que creo que eso hace que finalmente la desintonía entre los gobiernos y los ciudadanos es cada vez más grande, porque finalmente los ciudadanos lo que tienen es una experiencia digital provista por empresa, y resulta que cuando va al Estado tiene que hacer una cola, se demora 5 días, se pierde. Entonces es dramático, porque finalmente cada vez más uno encuentra pocas soluciones en los estados, y bueno, la gente se aburre, ¿no? Y así es como vamos con... Sí.
Thank you, Monica. There are 2 main topics that we cannot avoid, and one is change management, and the second is cybersecurity. So I would like to briefly ask Aruna, the first one, about what are the challenges, or given the vast experience of Capgemini in advising companies on digital transformation efforts, how industries in Latin America are overtaking change management?
That's a very important topic. No digital transformation effort will be successful without the right change management, because it's a very sensitive topic dealing with people, and the companies that we work with, I think it requires very strong leadership support. You know, they need to be convinced, and they need to pass the message down the line that this is the right thing for you, it's the right thing for the company, but it's also the right thing for you as an employee. And how does it affect you? The most important is to identify how does it change the life of a person, because some roles will disappear, okay? And there will be a lot of job insecurity, people will be nervous, and if you have a nervous set of employees, they will not make the effort successful, okay? So you need to communicate extremely well what is the impact of the change at an individual level. What happens to me and my job, and what are you doing as a company to help me to move to the next skill and the next level? I think that's what people have to do.
In order for all the employees and everybody, all the stakeholders to feel ownership and to embrace the change that they are supposed to do. And Jose, you are the final speaker now, and I would like to ask, what are the challenges for managing cybersecurity threats in digital transformation efforts in Latin America in particular?
Well, that is a really great question, Elsa. Well, as we said, a lot of companies are moving very fast and quick on the digital transformation or their specific digital transformation strategy to increase productivity. But at the same time they do that, they really need to start thinking about cyber threats and cyber attacks. It's like when you build our house, right? So we build a house. If you don't put a good fence with a closed gate there, someone can break into your house and steal your stuff, your goods. So the same thing happens in the digital world. So when you pull all this automation together, a lot of sensors, putting a lot of information on the cloud, transmitting this information across the board. So if you don't put fences on those systems, if you don't have a good cybersecurity system to protect your information, you become very vulnerable. Not only vulnerable to get your information, your data stolen, but also they can use in improper ways that information, or even can damage your business big time. That was a very known situation that happened in Canada, where a group of cyber attackers went into a water treatment company, and they broke into the system, and they changed the chemicals that were used to treat the water. So the company was able to detect that attack and stop the operations. Otherwise, that could be a major problem for that company. So this is not a minor problem. The companies had to really start paying attention on their cybersecurity strategies in order to protect that data. We have been supporting companies pretty much on the OT side than the IT, but also we need to assure that the IT-OT convergence is well aligned.
Thank you so much, Jose. So I think we have a great panel. I would like to ask you to join me in thanking the panelists for sharing